Hey, what's up? Josh here. Husband, father, entrepreneur, try to be a man of character. Um, and today is day 5 of our 28-day journey of highlighting some of the amazing people that I'm working with, some of the projects that I'm working on with others and for myself. And today's actually a special day because number one, today's my first guest where I was talking about I'm going to be highlighting some amazing individuals. And of course, I had to start with my most amazing individual, which is my wife. My wife, Dr. Yalanda Colbert. And if you watched yesterday's video, you saw the platform that my company had created for her, which is Lesson Planner Pro. So today I just wanted to quickly just introduce her, talk about her work and some of the things that we have going on. And so hey, welcome. Yeah.
Thanks for having me this morning. Appreciate the opportunity to speak a little bit more about Lesson Planner Pro with you today.
Yeah, so I guess maybe just quickly state, who you are, where we're at right now, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Well, today it is a special day. We're here at my office, the school that I work with. I am the principal here in the Pittsburgh Public School District. Been with them for, I want to say, 20 years now. Been in this role for 10 years. And prior to that, I was a middle school and high school math teacher, where I took a lot of pride and joy in creating lessons to engage students in mathematics.
Excellent. Yeah, so with that being said, just leading up to or referencing creating these lesson plans, maybe if you just want to talk about, I guess, the inspiration for Lesson Planner Pro, and then we'll talk about what Lesson Planner Pro is and what we were able to do together.
Well, what inspired me is just me finishing my doctoral work this past July, where I had an opportunity to take a look at student data, which unfortunately still revealed that there's a large achievement gap between students of color, students who are marginalized in our society, and white students. So in looking at that performance, I continue to think about what is the number one driver, what can we change, what can we do to, kind of improve students' outcomes in terms of performance on standardized tests, but even more so, how can we help to change just the landscape of the classroom?
Mm-hmm.
And based on not only my research, but just my practice as a teacher, I know that developing that lesson plan is key. It's the foundational step. So like if a teacher doesn't know, let's say prior knowledge that students must have to be able to jump into a current lesson that you want to teach them, then you're going to have kids all over the place. Like there's going to be some kids who can jump right in line with you because A, either they have the prior knowledge, or B, they're kind of in the space where they can kind of catch on to things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want students to develop understanding, you need to know what foundational pieces must be in place at first for them to go along on that journey with you. So when I talk about a journey, I'm talking about the lesson for the day. If you really want students to stay in there with you, to develop that understanding and leave meeting the learning targets that you've established for them that day, you need to know where they should have come from to get them to where they're going, if that kind of makes sense. And so when I talk to you about, I need to be able to help teachers develop lesson plans, the way that I was taught to develop a lesson plan, it could take up to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That I appreciated at the time, being a master student, no, but after maybe the first 3 or 4 times creating the lesson plan in the way that the University of Pittsburgh, taught me to create that, I could always see the benefits of my work. I mean, if there was a time when I slacked on a lesson plan, I would see it in the way that the students would show up, because you're only as good as your ability to implement what you spent time on creating. It's sort of like cooking a meal. Like, this macaroni and cheese is not going to be good if you're going to just give me Kraft macaroni and cheese. But if you're going to get in there and make something and season it and boil the noodles right, then you're going to cook up something good and people are going to remember that healthy meal. And it's the same way with the lesson plan. So you really need to develop and help students develop an understanding while they're with you. And so that's why I came to you and said, how can you possibly help me by using AI and any other tech tools to support teachers on the back end. And then you have this other thing that I talked to you about where in our space, you do have teachers sometimes who are forced to teach something that they've never taught. And that can be, you know, it can cause a teacher to be fearful, right?
Like teachers covering on the class. And
correct. Like if it's not even about covering another class, but if you knew coming in August that you were going to be teaching math for grades 6 and 7, but all of a sudden I said to you, Josh, you got to also teach reading for grade 6. You would be like, what?
Yeah.
Especially if, number one, math is really your thing. That's what you went to school for. But you've never taught reading, however you might be certified in elementary K to 6, right? Legally, I can have you teach it because you have the certification. Right. It fits into your schedule. But you've been teaching math for the past, let's say, even 2 or 3 years. So you're feeling good. You got your feet up under you, and you know the mistakes and misconceptions that kids are going to come into the classroom with. But when I say that to you and say, well, reading's on your schedule, I can get the other teachers to help you. Here's some materials. I can get the district to help you. Inside, a teacher is going to internalize that and say, I just don't feel good. Like, I'm not going to be able to do my best. And so with Lesson Planner Pro, this platform would allow someone, you know, in that unique case that I just described to you, who's new to that content, or anyone's just that's in the space of facilitating some type of learning, right? So it doesn't have to be a teacher. I don't want people to get caught up and think like, oh, I can only be a teacher, only teachers do lesson plans. No. A well thought out plan will always give you the biggest bang for your buck. So whether you're facilitating something with students in church, in a peer group where, like, you know, we know adolescents go through puberty. They're not managing, you know, their bodily functions well. So you might have to teach them about, you know, keeping clean armpits, right? Brushing their teeth, taking a shower, etc. So don't get caught up on like only teachers can use Lesson Planner Pro. Anyone who is trying to facilitate a healthy group discussion to disseminate information, Lesson Planner Pro is a platform that can help you develop that instructional guide with very minimum, you know, information, data, input. So you don't need to be, oh, I've taught people how to brush their teeth appropriately. You don't have to be a dentist. You can give kids information to help them understand the importance of oral hygiene, of the importance of not bullying. What are those impacts, right? So those type of lessons per se can also be developed through the platform, in addition to our typical educator who may need support with developing lessons for instructional purposes in an educational space like a school, a university, and things like that. And
then I guess you know, as we conclude, like, what are 3 of the biggest benefits of Lesson Planner Pro?
So number 1 is going to save you time.
Yes.
Like as I spoke about before, you really want to cook up a good lesson based on the framework, like I said, in which I was taught at my university. It's going to take you about 3 hours the first go around. But even still, the time, we all, educators, people who are facilitating, working with kids, whatever, time is of the essence.
And I think you said, you know, based on your some of the research that you had done, like even once you become very efficient or effective at creating lesson plans, to create something that's engaging, effective, and culturally relevant.
Correct.
They said on average it takes around 77 minutes.
Correct.
Like for a season, because I know you know there's teachers that say, oh, it only takes me 5 or 10 minutes to create a lesson plan, but these aren't, you know, engaging.
Yeah, they're not engaging,
relevant, so on and so forth.
And those are the biggest things that we focused on while developing the platform, is making sure that not only can teachers save time, but it's culturally relevant. So give teachers an idea of what does it mean to teach this lesson through the lens of cultural relevance. People always, and that's another thing I think is important for your listeners to definitely understand. Like, cultural relevance doesn't just mean race. Culture. There's teen culture, there's pop culture, you know, there's American culture, you know, there's culture is just about what are the ideals and things that groups of people all agree to, right? Or how they carry out their work, or how they agree to, you know, interacting with one another. So I don't want folks to get caught up on race, because you can apply science to a multitude of things
Correct.
in today's culture, and it's not only fun for scientists,
Correct.
So again, time, culturally relevant.
So like for instance, if we were talking to a group of individuals who were skateboarders or on a basketball team, you can actually specify, hey, this is the audience that I'm going to be speaking to.
Correct.
And so make sure some of the examples and so forth that's provided within the lesson plan actually speaks to some of the culture within basketball or this particular sport.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. And then another piece that we really drilled down on was this idea. It's not really an idea, but there's educational research to back it around differentiation. You have a multitude of learners in your space. And again, when I say learners, I am not talking about just your traditional school, university space. When you are sharing information, facilitating, and I like to be more of a facilitator than a teacher,
Right.
Because that means you're inviting students into that space, and that you also honor and value their voices that they're bringing into that space, and you don't look at them as a blank slate. But differentiation is needed, because you need to make sure that information can be applicable to a wide variety of learners that are in that space.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So that's Lesson Planner Pro. LessonPlannerPro.com is the website. I mean, for sure, anyone can use it. I mean, as she had mentioned, we have a church utilizing it for Sunday school. We have a daycare that's utilizing it for the very, very young ones, teaching them how to share, teaching them how to clean up after yourself, so on and so forth. Some of these life skills that she's spoken about. But even if you're teaching quantum physics, like, it doesn't matter what the subject is, Lesson Planner Pro will help you to create the most effective lesson plan that you've ever created. Lastly, I know you do consulting through Colbert Education Consulting. So if anyone's watching, they may be connected to any schools, maybe they're a teacher or a principal or a superintendent themselves, it may want for you to come to maybe either speak to, do a professional training development. Maybe if you could just briefly just talk about that and like that level of expertise and some of the skills you bring to the table.
I mean, yeah, as I said before, I spent a lot of time, here in our district as a middle school and high school math teacher. I've also been our district's curriculum coordinator for middle school and high school mathematics. So I've done a lot of professional development in the area of mathematics and mathematics education here in our district. But in addition to that, I've done a lot of coaching for administration in terms of principals, vice principals, getting them ready and prepared to carry out their roles and fulfill their roles and duties as leaders in their buildings. And then just in addition to that, I do a lot of coaching for folks who work with children in general, to help folks understand just the psychological and developmental makeup of students in front of them, to help troubleshoot, de-escalate students. But also I focus a lot on cultural responsiveness and those type of things. So anything in that space, I'm here.
Yeah, and one of the things that makes you unique, and not only as a teacher but an administrator, is like the psychological background that you have. So not
Correct.
just the teaching background. So maybe just in 30 seconds, maybe like finish this
Yeah,
up
I mean,
talk about why that's important.
It's like you said, my background in developmental psychology supports me in being able to understand where students and even teachers are at developmentally. Emotions and things like that all come into play when you are interacting with human beings. We're all human beings having experiences of one another,
Right.
and we need to be aware of how we're showing up in spaces, and be willing to talk through those things. So that's where the repair of the trauma and the harm comes in, and that's some of the work that I do as well.
Man, yeah. So hey, that's Bay. I call her Bay, but other people, it's even on a walkie-talkie. That's Dr. Colbert. Yeah. No, but hey, I appreciate you all. As mentioned, I'm looking forward to showcasing other phenomenal people that I'm working with on a variety of different projects as the month continues on. So be on the lookout for day number 6, which is going to be tomorrow. So until then, you guys have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.